Hello, Miss Whitney.
Hi.
So my head's not cut off. How are you today?
Good. How are
I
you?
should say bonjour instead.
Great.
Now, did you take any French when you were in Grenoble? Grenoble?
Yes.
Okay.
I've actually taken French for 10 years. So
Okay.
I definitely tried.
Awesome.
I
So maybe
can't
you
say
can
I was
teach us a thing or
successful.
two. Excellent. You'll have to teach us a thing or two before the end of today's live. Very cool. So, Whitney, we know you went to, am I saying it properly? Grenoble? Grenoble?
More like Grenoble, like
Okay.
the
Grenoble?
BLEs kind of like more.
Okay.
Um,
Very good.
yeah.
Excellent. It's like Nevada, Nevada, however you want to say it. But I like your version the best, and it's probably most accurate. So we'll go with that. So yeah, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you go to school, what you're studying, and question of the hour, why Grenoble? I'm gonna mess that up
You'll
several
get
times.
it. You'll get it.
Got an hour.
So, yes, I'm Whitney. I am currently a senior at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. I'm studying general management with an emphasis in sports management and minoring in French. And I studied abroad in Grenoble in spring 2020. And the big question, I chose Grenoble because I knew I wanted to go to France, didn't want to go big city, and the mountains, like, they're gorgeous. They drew me in. So obviously not just the mountains, but the program being, I did the intensive French language program, so I focused solely on the French language. And yeah, I didn't want to go Paris, but I wanted to practice French. So that
Yeah,
was a good option.
absolutely. Did you find there was a lot of tourism there, or not so much because it's a little bit off the beaten path?
I guess a little bit,
Mhm.
but honestly, I felt like it was more locals or students because there was a decent amount of students that came from around the world to study in Grenoble because the university that I studied at, the University of Grenoble Alps,
Mhm.
had more than just French language that you could study. So definitely a big student population,
Okay.
but more so locals rather than tourists.
Very good. Yeah, I was looking at pictures. I'd been to Grenoble, gosh, 2007, almost over a decade ago, and that was the first thing that popped into my mind that I remember. It's very storybook. It's just mountains, 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 surrounded. So very cool. Did you do any winter sports when you were there, or kind of passed on all of that?
I did with my AIFS group. We
Mm-hmm.
went snowshoeing.
Nice.
And some of the views, oh my gosh, like from the city, it is nothing compared to being actually in the mountains, in the snow. Like that was at the beginning of my experience, and it like was a good start because it was incredible.
Very cool. So maybe we'll start there. Okay. So you talked a little bit about you went on this snowshoeing trip with AIFS with your fellow students and your staff. Tell us a little bit about what weekend trips you went on and where they were, and AIFS excursions versus any solo travel you did, or travel outside of AIFS. So we'll start with that. Take us somewhere else, Whitney, other than our rooms, please.
Sure. So I did do some independent travel with some of my friends that were in my specific program in the intensive French language program rather than the other AIFS program that's offered. And we went to Barcelona. We went to Porto, Portugal.
Nice.
We went to Lyon, France.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Copenhagen, Denmark. I think that was it. We wanted to do more,
Right.
but obviously with COVID, things got changed. But those were definitely amazing.
Yes.
And we just explored the cities and got to eat some amazing food. Oh, the paella in Barcelona, like chef's kiss, like all the way. It is amazing. um,
Excellent.
So we got to do that a decent amount.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, because I was sent home early, I didn't get to experience any AIFS excursions, which they were going to be to Paris and Annecy.
Okay.
But we did plenty of little, like during the week, we would do
Mhm.
we had a cheese tasting and like different things like that. So we still got to partake in some
Your
activities.
charcuterie board at its
Yeah.
optimal level for France. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, so we kind of skipped over the elephant in all rooms. You were repatriated prematurely because of the COVID monster. So how long would your program have been, and how long were you there before you repatriated? If you can kind of just set the stage for us with that.
Sure. So I arrived the end of January.
Mhm.
My program started pretty much right at the beginning of February.
Mhm.
And my program was supposed to go until the end of April, like the 26th of April. And I was sent home March 14th.
Okay.
So I was there about a month and a half.
Mhm.
It was actually the week, like my halfway point was
Mhm.
finished that week, and then I left. So I was there half my time, and so obviously I wasn't there for another month and a half that I was supposed to be there.
Sure. But I'm so impressed because yourself, Gabby, Haley, all of the alumni ambassadors that we talked to, you guys fit in so much travel in just that short amount. Well, it wasn't that short, but that time that you had cut off, I mean, you still managed to fit so much in. So kudos to you guys, because I love hearing that you're on the go, active while you're abroad. Awesome. So big question, right? Okay, so everyone asks you this when you come home, like, did you like it? What was your favorite part? And you're like, well, Mom, Dad, like, please, like, I don't have enough time to tell you all the things I liked about my program or things I, encountered. So if you can pick 3 top things that you liked about your study location, what would they be?
Number one, mountains.
Okay.
Like
The
I kept saying,
scenery, right?
they just never get old. They're the same every day, but no, they're amazing. So the mountains and being surrounded by like different types, like we had the white caps.
Mm-hmm.
We also had kind of more like hiking with like trees and things like that. So it was different, which is
Yeah.
cool. My host family, they were honestly amazing. They they brought me into their family like I was one of their own, and even their children kind of like brought me in as well. So they definitely made my experience amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, at number 3, oh, just the food. I miss the baguettes. Like they were really cheap,
Yeah.
and like they were maybe like a euro, around a euro,
Mm-hmm.
and they were warm. They were freshly baked. Like, yeah, I miss those.
We're all getting hungry right now. Not a lot of students that I interview will say the food, and I'm always like, guys, that's like number one on my list. That's awesome. So you did stay with a host family, you
I
said,
did.
for your housing. Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what I know you have only good things to say about your host family, which I'm so happy to hear. But tell us like some of the activities you guys did together, or like maybe part of your routine as being a part of that household.
Sure. So one of the biggest things that we did was usually for dinner, we would
Mm-hmm.
sit down as a whole family. Um, and that was usually the weird part, or a difficult part for me, was it was usually at like 8 or 9 p.m. that we would sit down and eat dinner. And because I had class pretty early in the morning, I wanted to get to bed at like 10. And I'm like, well, I got to eat. Uh,
Yeah.
so, but we would sit down for dinner as like a whole family. My host mom would make the food. A lot of times it was some sort of soup, or
Okay.
we had like ratatouille, which is like kind of stereotypical, but we did have
Yeah.
that. It was really good. Um, let's see. Some of the activities we would do, my host mom and I, we would sit down and play a game after dinner sometimes. Like we played Scrabble, some games that I've never heard of before, but like they're really cool and help me practice my French.
Nice.
But yeah, I definitely got closer with my host mom because she was better speaking both French and English. So that helped. I could speak English if I needed to,
Yeah.
but I did try to speak French a lot. which is why I chose a host family.
Yeah,
To outside of school still be able to speak French.
absolutely. I have to know, when you were playing Scrabble with her, was it French? Was it English words? Was it a hybrid of both? Did anything go? Like, how did that work?
It was French.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard. I always like, I would try to choose like verbs, because I like, that's what I've like learned throughout my 10 years of learning French.
Allez, manger. Yeah, just
Yeah.
the words. Yeah.
Exactly. Or conjugations of verbs.
Mm-hmm.
So leer is
Mm-hmm.
a verb, to laugh. And I would, LU is the past tense, and
Yeah.
I like 2 letters. That's all I need.
Just add them on.
Yeah. Or I would ask her, I'd be like, is this a word? Like, or like there was at certain points I literally had no clue. But I stuck in there with her. I was doing pretty good, but yeah, it was French Scrabble, and that was, oh man.
How quickly we could learn a language if we added a sense of competition to everything. If we had something to gain, something to win, it would probably move a lot faster. That's really cool. So the host family, there were children or older adult children, if you can just kind of tell us a little bit about
Sure.
the family.
So within my house, there were twins, actually. And they were like 19, so they were just right under me in age. So they lived there, and they went to school in Grenoble. And then they had 2 older son who lives in Paris, and then a daughter who's kind of traveling around a little bit. I didn't meet the daughter, but the son that lives in Paris, he came a few times, so I got to meet him 2 or 3 times.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So pretty big family in one house. Awesome. So we talked a little bit about, you wake up in the morning and boom, mountains, and probably on your commute to school, boom, mountains. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that commute to school from the home was like? Was it pretty manageable? How did you get back and forth? All of that good stuff.
Yeah, so I lived in an apartment that was pretty much center of town. Like, it was a very good location, and there's a tram that runs through town, and it was literally right outside of my door, and I just hopped on that. Took about 15 20 minutes, and it took me right outside of my classroom. So it was definitely very easy. I didn't have to transfer like trams or anything like that.
Right. Although one of the fun things is, if you do get on the wrong train, you explore like a completely new, different area of town, which is always exciting most of the time. Yeah, that's one thing I'll say. AIFS, we really strive to make those commutes, pretty simple for you guys, so that you're not spending your entire day trying to figure out what train you have to get on or get off or transfer to, so that you can kind of enjoy more time off of the public transport, which is important to us. Very cool. So, all right, now we're on campus, talk about classes. So you took just strictly French classes, correct? No additional electives or anything like that?
Correct. All French. And it was actually just one big class.
Okay.
So it was one 15-credit class. And it's called the Intensive French Language Program. So that means I was in class for 4 hours a day, learning strictly in French. We had different things. So sometimes we would just be in the classroom, kind of going over some stuff. Other times we'd be in a lab setting, and we'd have like the nice old headset things, and we would listen to things, and do different activities that way, just because it's different, like being like just hearing it and learning it that way versus having something on paper. So yeah, we'd get a little break, like a 20-minute break, I think it was, like halfway. And then we would go into like the other setting. But pretty much every day kind of changed a little bit as far as what we started with. But yeah, 4 hours a day, strictly taught in French. was great.
Amazing. And you had said you had taken French prior to arrival for how many semesters or how many years?
So I started in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So middle school and high school, so 6 years there. And then I took, I passed out of my first semester in college. So then I ended up taking 3 kind of like, not beginner, but college level, like the main basic levels. And then I took like a translating class. But so about, 10 years worth of French.
Yeah. Kat has a good question, and usually I save questions for the end, but Kat Rogliano has a good one. We should address this now. What was the biggest difference between academics and classes in France versus the US? That's a good question.
That is a really good question. I think the biggest thing would definitely be like the lab portion that I was mentioning. That was different because I've never done that. A lot of times, like we'll use here at Whitewater, for example, in those classes, we had like a book that we'd do like exercises in, but we didn't really do like exercise activities.
Okay.
And we didn't have a book that we used in France. It was mainly just talking, and it was a lot more just trying to be conversational. We would sometimes have debates, like she would just split the classroom and like we have to try to argue against the other side. And I've never done that. So it definitely was more focused on trying to get you to speak the language. Who cares if you're wrong?
Right.
Like, just go for it. And the cool thing, though, was my class was people from all around the world. So I had people from China, from Japan, the U.S. There were a few of us from the U.S. But yeah, just like our base language was French. So they're like, try not to speak English, even though most people did speak some level of English. They're like, no, try not to resort back to what you know. So
right. Very cool. Kind of get out of your comfort zone. And it sounds like within like that intensive French, you hear the word intensive and I panic, right? Because you're just like, well, how hard is this going to be? But it kind of sounds like you got a little taste of other like electives just in that class, like the intercultural communication, right? How do you communicate with other people from other like countries and cultures? And then, you're debating one another, like maybe it's kind of like the setting of government class, so you kind of get a little taste of other things and how they kind of function, I guess, in those environments. But very, very cool. So yeah, safe to say if we need a translator in the future, we're calling Whitney because she's a pro. Awesome. Let's see. I was gonna say, did you have a favorite class? But that question just negates based off of based off of the structure of the class. So yeah, if we can walk through just a typical day from start to finish, morning to night, and if you want to kind of segment them into a weekday versus a weekend, just kind of walk us through your routine. I know you kind of talked about this a little bit with your commute and whatnot and the host family, but just give us a little bit of a day in the life. Take us somewhere else.
Okay, so I woke up every day about 7:30, got ready, kind of prepared my own breakfast. It usually was just like they had bread, like sliced bread, that you could put like jam on it. I liked putting Nutella on it. I became obsessed with Nutella.
Yep.
Or like sometimes they would have cereal, but it was mainly just throwing some pieces of bread together. Then I would head to class, like I said, 15, 20-minute commute on the tram. Wasn't terrible. And then I sat in class for 4 hours.
4 hours.
And so I totally forgot. Like that was like almost 6-7 months ago already. I don't know. So some days my class would start at like 9 and other days it would start at like 12 or 1 in the afternoon. So when it was early, we'll go based on that day because I didn't do a whole lot on the days that it was late.
Sleeping in.
Definitely. But anyway, so then I would stay in class till about 1 o'clock. So then I had the whole afternoon. So sometimes, like one day, my friend and I were like, let's go check out IKEA, because I had never been to an IKEA. So like we just explored IKEA for a while. We explored the city. We would go get food. Kind of just do that. Like we did whatever we wanted to, but a lot of times it was just exploring the city, because there's so much to see and it's so amazing. Or we'd find a cafe. That was my favorite part, just finding random cafes to go sit in. And then I would go back to my apartment, do the little homework that I had. I didn't really get a whole lot of homework. That's another difference compared to the US. The homework, there's not a whole lot. It would maybe take me 30 minutes.
Okay.
Like, it was pretty easy. But yeah, so then do my homework, and then eventually we'd eat. If we were eating later, I sometimes would just watch a little Netflix or something,
Sure.
just to pass the time. But yeah, and then I'd go to sleep and do it all over again.
Excellent. And I mean, did you find like, were you going to different cafes or restaurants or what have you, like every day so you could try as many as you wanted? Or did you kind of have like that one or two like go-to that you always reverted back to?
So one of my friends, her friend had like, or it was maybe her, I can't remember, but like somebody came up with like a list of a bunch of different cafes. So we would try to like just go to all of them. There was one that we went to a few times, and I really liked that one. It was just so quaint and Frenchy and
Yeah.
like, but yeah, we would try to get to as many different ones as we could.
Right. Did you ever eat at a chain restaurant while you were in Grenoble, or just complete hard pass?
Don't remember. I mean, there was I will say one of my first days there, because I got there a few days early to explore on my own. I
Sure.
did go to McDonald's, and I'm not a big McDonald's person here, but like they're way better in Europe because they
Yeah.
try to be healthier. So
Sure.
I was like, sure, why not?
It's a basis of the culture. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but most of the time it was cute little
Yeah.
like just local restaurants.
Absolutely. We talked about this in one of the lives, I believe it was when we were in Prague. Just try to negate like the Starbucks and the McDonald's and I don't know if Burger King is in any of these places, but all of those different chains, because, the nuances might be a little different, but support the local business just like you would want to here, and just kind of, you'll get like a dive into that culture, especially with the cuisine, if you're doing all the local spots. So excellent. Good on you. We talked a lot about friends. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, because you said you had several different nationalities in your French class. Friends from China, friends from Asian nations. You can kind of divide that for us, like what that looks like, but or describe rather. Local friends, international friends. Tell us a little bit about those relationships, and do you still stay in touch with a lot of these people?
Sure. So for the people that were in my class, we did have a group chat, but that was like really the only time that I talked to people that were like from class. There was one girl that was in my class, as well as somebody else that was there through AIFS, and in my class, the three of us, we were all Americans, so we kind of like clicked together. So I definitely became friends with those two. The rest of the people in my class I don't really connect with too often, but as far as other people that were in my program, and the other girl from America that was in my class, she was in a different program altogether. But anyway, so we try to talk here and there. We're connected on social media and everything like that. So we're still keeping tabs on each other. One of the girls from my class, because when we went remote, so when we came back and we had remote class, her and I were definitely talking a lot more, because we thought that the other American, she dropped out, but then she came back. So, but while she was gone, her and I were like, what's going on? Like we're like we're struggling a little
Cahoots with
bit.
each other. Sure.
Yeah. So her and I definitely talked a little longer, but that was because we had class. But yeah, we try to keep tabs. And
yeah, that's good. You'll have lots of people to visit after the world opens back up, hopefully sooner than later. So I guess, the next question would be, so yeah, you did repatriate prematurely, courtesy of the COVID monster. So when you returned to the US, you didn't have this like normal average experience of just, airport, spend time with your family, maybe go to your favorite places, catch up with friends. You kind of have to like sit with your thoughts, quarantine alone. So very different kind of reverse culture shock, I imagine. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience coming home and just kind of trying to get back into a routine again and whatnot?
Yeah, so to start, my trying to just get home and into the US was so crazy. Like, I feel like some airports were like panicking a little bit. Because I had like a great flight from Paris to Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and then it got canceled. And like, I had to quickly find different flights and book different buses because I was doing an overnight bus from Grenoble to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to book a different bus
Mm-hmm.
to make sure I would get to the airport in time. And then other flights got canceled, and eventually I got into DC. That's where they landed me. But it was at like
little ways from Wisconsin, but okay, we're getting warmer.
But it was actually nice because it was at like 9 p.m. So there were no lines for customs or anything. So like I didn't have to deal with the 5-hour lines that they were talking about in Chicago to even get back in and everything like that. So that was pretty nice. But anyway, finally got home, finally got to Chicago and saw my parents. And then, yeah, so I self-quarantined for 2 weeks. And my mom actually was working from home at that time. So she quarantined with me since she picked me up from the airport. But I continued classes. I think for like that first week I didn't. I was just trying to get back home and everything like that.
Get acclimated to something, whatever
yes,
that is. Mm-hmm.
Yes. But it definitely was, it was weird because like I wanted to see my friends. I wanted to go places, but I was like, no, just for everybody's safety, you have to stay home. So I didn't really do much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where like the weirdness came into place because I was like, I can't do anything. Like I can't just go do the things that I enjoy doing in my hometown. And I just had to basically stay in my bedroom or watch TV or something. But then as far as my classes went, so we continued online, and they actually reduced the amount of time to be only like 2 hours instead of 4, which I was actually bummed about because I had nothing else to do.
It's your only social interaction for the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I did like 3 puzzles because I had nothing else to do. Like it was bad, but yeah, so I still had class. They gave us like worksheets that we could print off or do like on our computer. And then we would turn those in. We would have our live sessions, different things like that. It definitely was weird because I went from being surrounded by the French language in my classes with my host family, just in the city in general, to basically just English. That's where I struggled because even though I had my French class, I felt like it wasn't getting any better because I wasn't practicing it as much. I was not surrounded by it, not hearing it 24/7. So yeah, that definitely was the weird part. I'm like, oh, I have to speak English. I can't say, when my mom goes, hey, Whitney, come here. And I turn around and go, yes. I say, oui. Like,
Oui?
I'm so used to like,
yeah.
But yeah, so that was definitely different. But I don't think it, like the reverse culture shock was as bad as I thought it would be, just because I was kind of confined to my house rather than going out and hearing English everywhere. But it definitely was not what I wanted to be doing.
Right.
But
yeah, no, good for you for just trucking along and going with the flow, because it's a lot to unpack that experience in general, like being gone for months and months and months and then trying to explain to people and have them understand what this experience was like. And then on top of that, you just now you're stuck in a room, you know, you might as well be sitting in a cardboard box, and you can't really, I mean, I'm sure you could talk to your mom, but you really have to rely on those friendships and the people that you met when you were abroad, as well as the AIFS faculty and staff. I know our alumni team does a really great job of just trying to help you guys, like I said, unpack that experience and kind of figure out how you're going to use it in the future, and how to kind of cope with the reverse culture shock. They do a great job of that, but this was unexpected for all of us. So we really had to kind of lean on each other in a very, very different way. So kudos to you, kudos to everybody that was a part of Spring 2020, because again, completely unexpected, but we've all come through on the other side and still desperately want to get back on the map. I know I do. I'm sure you're ready to get back out there as well. Lots of other French-speaking provinces and countries that you probably want to visit, I would imagine. So excellent. Good on you guys. Let's see. We talked about reverse culture shock. I always do this backwards, but I almost think that the reverse culture shock is like worse because you've had this amazing experience and you're kind of comparing the two at that point. What was the culture shock like when you landed? You flew into Paris, is that correct?
yeah, yeah. And then I had to navigate trains down to Grenoble. That was interesting. Honestly, like, I don't know if I actually had culture shock.
Okay.
I mean, I have been to Paris before, but it was only for like 4 days, so it wasn't like I'm like, yeah, I'm used to this type of culture. Like, no, I'm not. But yeah, I got there early, so I think just being able to explore on my own, not really having like any pressure from like anything really, just my own whatever I wanted to do, like I just could do it. So I think that helped rather than getting in like the day of orientation and then jumping into it, going with my host family. I think then that would have been kind of shocking for me. Right. But I think because I could just soak it in at like the speed that I wanted to, I think that definitely helped. But yeah, I don't think I actually had culture shock.
That's pretty impressive. I think you might be the first person I've ever met that has said that. So you are a rare breed, Whitney. But it's not a bad thing. You know, if you can acclimate without even having to transition, I mean, that's excellent. It kind of, I will say, like the solo travel, it definitely shows you like what you're capable of, what you're capable of individually. Like you're not relying on other people. I know I was just like imagining you trying to figure out how to get from train to bus to, you know, get down from Paris down to Grenoble, but like it's kind of part of the excitement of the experience, right? Like, and am I going to land where I'm supposed to, or am I going to like royally mess this up and go somewhere else? And that's exciting too. I'm very easily excited by, you know, just the prospect of like, oh, I might end up not where I'm supposed to be and what's waiting for me there. I know that stresses some people out, but it sounds like you've got a good handle on the solo travel. So awesome. Talk about the locals. So, you know, Paris versus Grenoble, right? Two very different environments. You know, you have the big city comparable of New York or London or Chicago probably. And then Grenoble, completely different. Little calm, quiet mountain town. So can you tell us a little bit about the differences between the two and what the locals were like, local culture, all that good stuff?
Sure. Yeah, so like I said earlier, I didn't want to go to big city, just because I think, not that the locals in Paris are mean or rude or anything like that, but I just thought the experience would be a whole lot better with a more quaint town, I guess. Grenoble was still like really big, because there's kind of like, don't even know what they're called, but kind of on the outskirts of actual, like, the city of Grenoble. Like, there's other cities, and they kind of include that in their population. So there was like a population of like 400,000 or something like that. I could be completely off, but I think that's what I read at some point.
Google that.
But
we'll see.
Yeah. But Grenoble itself, like, the people were so friendly, and not that I didn't talk to a lot of them, but even when I was like ordering food, they were very patient. And like they understood like I was trying to like practice French, and I'm definitely not French, so it makes a difference. But they were so nice, and I don't know if there's a stereotype about them being mean, but they're definitely not. Yeah, they're just so welcoming. They also just kind of mind their own business too, like, which I don't mind. Like, they have their own thing to do, I have mine, different things like that. But yeah, it was very different from Paris, because when I think Paris, I think like French music, like cue the movie Ratatouille, and like that's it.
Yeah.
But this city was more like, I don't even know how to describe it. It definitely, yeah, storybook is definitely a way. Like, the architecture was gorgeous. Like, I want to live there. But yeah, like,
I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Are you ready for the population? I found a stat from 2014 was the last time I guess they had done this data, the census, if you will. 155,632. So a little bit less than what you said, but again, what is counted in Grenoble? What provinces are they accounting into that? So it, give or take, that's roughly the estimate from 6 years back. So we'll have to see. But excellent. Yeah, I think too, you know, if there's a stereotype of demeanor, and you know, you can't, first of all, peg this on every single person from every single location. You're going to find your overly friendly people that want to take an interest in you, and somebody who's like, yeah, thank you, next, you know. So it's you're going to find both kind of demeanors in a place. But like I always say, you will receive what you give. If you try hard enough, if you're making the effort to learn the language, to use the language, to improve your language skills, they're going to think it's adorable, and, you know, try and return most of the time. But again, not everywhere you go are you going to have, you know, the Care Bear clan. Like, it's going to vary no matter where you go. So excellent. Very good. So no culture shock. We talked about that. Can you tell me a little bit about what, like, how you would spend your weekends in Grenoble? Like, most of the time you were traveling, I imagine. Is that correct?
Yeah, I feel like I had like 4 solid weekends that I was there, and I think I left on 3 of them.
Excellent. Well, that's okay. Like, that's kind of, you know, one of the questions we always get when students are kind of going through application is, am I going to have ample time to travel? And it's not a dumb question. Like, we want to see you guys explore as much as you can inside of your study location and outside of your study location. So the more that you're able to do that, like, good on you, because I mean, yes, your location is awesome. All the locations are awesome, but the whole point of going to another continent is to kind of try to see as much as you can possibly do, at least for me. I'm sure you're very similar. Okay, so we talk about this growth, right? Study abroad, opportunity for growth, hands down for everybody. If you've come back and you don't feel like a changed person, I want to meet you, because I haven't met anybody that has that response to something like this. But for anyone watching, I want to meet you if you feel like you have not changed after study abroad, because I don't believe it's possible. So how do you feel like you grew personally, professionally, maybe academically, and how are you going to take all those things that you've learned, all those, you know, internal changes, and use them towards your future goals?
So as far as individually and personally, I definitely gained like confidence, and my independence. I mean, in the just trying to get home, alone,
Yeah.
I feel like I grew like tenfold because it was just insane and I had to really do everything pretty much on my own.
Self-reliant. Yeah.
So that definitely, that part alone just changed me a lot. Like I'm definitely more confident. Yeah, like I said, independent. I feel like I'm
Excellent public speaker.
I try.
Doing great.
But as far as professionally, it definitely changed me in my mindset. Before, I kind of didn't really know the direction I wanted to go with my life and my career. That's why I chose the major that I did, general management, because it's just very simple. But after, like, I think it'd be so cool to do something internationally, whether it's like just international business, if it's working internationally, if it's working for just an international company, different things like that. Like, I would love to do that. I think it'd be so cool to travel for whatever company that I work for, because I got the travel bug now. Like, I just, like, send me back. Like,
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah.
incurable, so welcome to the
gosh.
club. Yep. Awesome.
But yeah, like, and I just think my whole experience definitely helped me, like, just grow in ways that I can't even explain. Like, it's so hard to kind of put into words certain things, but I think it'll definitely push me towards like a career and just a life that I want. I think more than I knew before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like your world is just it's expanded beyond what you thought, what you saw on the TV, what you could read about on the internet, because these experiences just you can't plan for a lot of them. The people that you meet, the instance of having to figure out how to bus and train yourself, you know, in the middle of a pandemic. Like, nobody expects those things to happen, and we can prepare you for them as much as possible, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to take the wheel a little bit and say, you know, I have to do this. I have to put myself in my own shoes and walk my own walk. But I think that's an awesome answer. And yes, you're an excellent public speaker. So definitely thumbs up, Whitney. The confidence shows. It's great. All right. And you're an alumni ambassador, as we all know. Role of the alumni ambassador is to, you know, help students feel encouraged, make sure that they're ready to take this wanderlust step, if you will. So what's the advice that you give students when they're not sure if this is something that they want to pursue?
Well, the thing that I've just been saying is just do it. Like, just take the leap. Like,
the Nike ad.
Honestly, I should get a tattoo of this swoosh, because it's just like that's my mantra lately. Like, just do it. Like, you will not regret it at all. Like, even I was a little on the fence. Like, my high school teacher kept telling me going into college, she's like, you should really study abroad and you should do it. And going into college, I was like, maybe. I'm still going to take these French courses, but who knows if studying abroad's on my list. And then just something clicked, and I was like, I want to do this. And, like, I don't regret it. It sucks that it got cut short, but I don't regret it. And, like, so I like tried to find all the scholarships that I could, like, because that was a big thing. I was like, I'm paying all this money every semester to go to my school here. Like, now I need, like, a little more to afford it, but it was so affordable. Like, and all the scholarships that I received from AIFS and externally, like through my school and different things like that, helped so much. And so, yeah, I just tell people, just go for it. Just take the leap. You won't regret it.
I love that. Just do it. Couldn't be any more simple. 3 words. That's excellent. Yeah. And guys, for anyone watching and finances on the mind, I mean, that was, even back when I studied abroad, that was definitely a concern, because not everything always transfers over with financial aid or scholarships that you receive from your home university. So we always say at AIFS, like, the genesis of where the funding comes from is kind of irrelevant. Not always, but most of the time, pretty much any form of payment we'll accept. So if it is financial aid, if it's scholarships from an outside source, if it's scholarships from us, if it's a diversity scholarship, if it's a scholarship from a essay writing contest, you know, from another provider, like we'll pretty much work with anything. And again, you know, those scholarships that we offer are there strictly to help you guys along and make that possible. I think 50% or more often will get some kind of funding from us, whether that's need-based, financial-based, what have you. Okay, so we are going to get into questions. I saw a bunch come in, and I'm the worst at this. I will fully admit that to anyone, that I always leave the questions to the end because I think it's the best part sometimes. So hi from Barcelona. How are you doing? Miss all my friends from USA. Big hug from Bode BCN. Hello, Bode BCN. Sometimes we just get a lot of shout outs. Hannah Harper, 28. Hi, Hannah. She was with us last time. Where did she go? She went to
Grenoble.
And what's the proper way to say it?
Grenoble.
Grenoble. Grenoble. I'm going to practice that. We'll get back to that.
That's pretty good.
AIFS France. Shout out to you guys. Hello. Hannah Harper, hope France was awesome. I think we have a consensus that France was awesome. We answered Kat Rogliano's question about the difference between academics in US and France. Let me keep going. So many waves. Another question. I've heard Grenoble is a green city. Is that true? Green meaning good for the earth kind of green.
Yes, it definitely,
well, like?
It's both. It's we're surrounded by mountains with trees, so I mean it's green.
Yes.
But yeah, they definitely are a green city. I think I can't remember all the facts and stuff like that, but because they're in a valley, being surrounded by the mountains, and they're kind of lower, I think they do something maybe with the water that comes from the mountains. I don't quote me on that, but and then like I know they have a lot of different things within like households that kind of can, I think, like decompose like stuff like that. Their garbages are really small, like, so I think they definitely try not to have as much waste as like we do here. And just, I think even just the packaging and stuff, they have reusable bags a lot. Like that's what my host mom always used when she went to go get groceries. You have the reusable bag. You don't bring back those plastic bags. Like, so they definitely are more environmental friendly, and they're very conscious of it too.
Do you feel like you've adopted some of that coming back? Like you have your own reusable bag and you're trying to make less waste, or not so much?
Definitely a little bit. I did buy a few reusable bags from Grenoble before I left. I was like, oh, I gotta get these. So I definitely have those that I try to use, and definitely probably not as much as I could, but I definitely do try to limit based on from my experience.
Yeah, it's just that reverb of like these things, they stay with you as you move forward in life. So very cool. AIFS France says Grenoble is a green city. Mayor is from the Ecology Party in competition to be European Green City 2022. So vote for Grenoble if that's something that you can vote for. I don't know if that's a voting thing, but Grenoble all the way. All right, let's see what else we got. Best water in France. I believe maybe she's talking about the drinking water, right? Because you guys don't drink tap water. It is bottled from the source, right? Am I making that up?
Yes. Yes, it definitely, yes. I did use tap water as well. And that was still pretty good too, so.
What's better, US water or water from France? What would you say if you had to choose one?
Honestly, it was really good in France.
Yeah.
I give it to them. Yep.
Excellent. All right. Well, guys, I don't see any other questions, so we are going to do what we call our lightning round. I need to think of a more fun name for this. Something to do with travel. I'll have to mull that over for next time. But I'm just going to give you a word, Whitney, and if you can just, like, word association. So the first thing that comes to mind when I give you this word in relation to your experience in France. So my favorite, kind of your favorite from what I understand, food.
Incredible.
Excellent. Can you think of a favorite food? Like, which one would you have to recommend if somebody went?
Well, it might be cliche, but the crepes or the baguettes,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah. Yeah, bread. I mean, bring your stretchiest pants, because you're going to be overloaded with bread, and it's not a bad thing at all.
Also, I love carbs too, so like that's not helpful either because then I go eat them. And
Yes. But you're walking around so much. It's a completely different. You're not just getting in your car and driving from point A to point B all the time. That's kind of the beauty of not having a car on a program or having, public transportation. You have to walk to these places and kind of get around. So, excellent. Transportation. There's the next one.
simplistic.
Oh, I like that. Clean, right?
Yes.
Excellent. We have to learn a thing or two. Locals.
Friendly.
Friendly. I like that. Very good. Language.
Difficult.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I've
you've
been
taken it
taking
for
it
a
for how
while.
many years, and I'm
Yeah,
still like nowhere close to being fluent.
right.
So
Well, all in a day's work. You'll have to take maybe another intensive language course, and then maybe you'll be as fluent as they come. Let's see. Favorite city.
Grenoble.
Yeah, and I love that every time I ask that question, you guys always choose your program location. It's kind of a beautiful full circle moment. Landmarks.
Historic.
Yeah. I was like, she's gonna say mountains. I don't know why that's not really a landmark, that's a natural landmark, but historic. I like that. Very good. And architecture.
Gorgeous.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. And one word to describe your entire experience in Grenoble.
Unforgettable.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Very good one. Okay, awesome. I'm just going to scroll back up again, guys, see if I missed any questions, or scroll down rather. AIFS Fran says, the tap water is direct from the mountain. So there you go, bottled from the source. I know I'd seen that in like a commercial somewhere that they bottle it from the mountains, but I wasn't sure. So thank you for the clarification. Awesome. All right, well, I don't see any other questions. So just some announcements, guys. We will be live again next Friday, and let me see where we're going. I always try to leave it like a little bit of a surprise for myself, so I'm excited come that day. But next week we are going to be in London with Miss Adriana. So we're going to be talking all things London, a lot of fish and chips. Just kick back, listen to the show. It's a great time. And then again, we are still running that free round trip airfare promotion for all 2021 programs. So if you apply for that by October 21st, you are good to go. Again, 30 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds, why you're looking forward to going abroad, what you're looking forward to seeing, doing, just kind of give us the old age questions that you're going to be experiencing while you're there. Doesn't have to be anything super high end, guys. We're not looking for a professional, photography winning, arrangement, nothing like that, just 30, 60 seconds. Awesome. And I think that is pretty much all of our announcements. We have extended spring 2021 application deadline to November 15th, scholarships November 1st. If you guys have any questions, link in the bio. All of our contact information is on the handle. If we've missed any questions for Whitney because you guys were in class or taking a siesta, I love that. It's such a dad joke, but it's true. They could be napping during 3 o'clock this time. Then feel free to send them to us. We will get them to her, no problem. If you have any questions about France, Grenoble, anything in general, just feel free to shoot those our way, but we're happy to get those to Whitney. Whitney, thank you again so much. I loved spending the afternoon with you. I'm like so ready to just go now to Grenoble, especially, is it cold? Was it cold when you were there, like that time of year, or not so much?
It wasn't terribly cold. I did have like a nice like Columbia jacket, but not like a super big one. I also didn't like want it when it did get warm. I didn't have room in my suitcase. But of course, it started to get warmer as I was about to leave. I was a little bummed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too bad though. It wasn't like winters in Wisconsin.
Right.
No, like it's cold here, but it was fine there.
Like an Indian summer over there. Just okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, we can maybe escape the winter if all these travel plans kind of open up. But I'm scrolling one more time, see if there's any more questions. I think we got everything. All right, perfect. Whitney, we're gonna sign off. Thank you again. Lovely spending the afternoon with you, and hopefully we'll get to see you very soon.
Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
for having me.
Of course, anytime. All right, guys, be well, stay safe, and we will see you on Friday.